Hi, my name is Joseph Kroening, and I am a student at Metro State University in class Cyber 332, Computer Security, taught by Professor Kaleem. This video was made for a cybersecurity course. This video is solely for the educational purposes, and I am not liable for any damages that could be caused using this demonstration. Today I will be presenting on firewalls and their security benefits. In this presentation, I will discuss what firewalls are, why they are important on your computer, and how you can configure yours beyond the default settings on a Windows machine. This video is about firewalls on your computer. Firewalls are in all computers. They control what information can come into your computer and what leaves it. They may not be visible while using your computer for everyday use, but they operate in the background at all times. I want to address in my video how firewalls work to protect against your computer and also how people and businesses can set them up better to strengthen their security. I will also explore how you can change your firewall settings to make the best use of this common but important tool. First, we need to talk about what is a firewall. Like the name says, a firewall is a computer security network tool that restricts internet traffic in and out within a private network. A firewall blocks or allows selected data packets within a private network. By doing this, the firewall helps to better protect the computer against malicious activity that may be coming from inside or out on a private network. It does this by blocking the IP address that are known to be trouble or programs that are problematic. Firewalls act as giant walls that can either let data pass through or not. They act as a funnel in your system for internet traffic, and they review it by parameters or rules that are put into place on your system. They are essentially a security tool that acts as a gate through your network border onto your private host network. It's also a user access control, because you can manage what goes in and out of your firewall. Firewalls are typically used on all computers, like PCs and laptops, for example. They are also dedicated computers on the network and other endpoints, like users' computers. Why they're important. Firewalls are extremely important on your computer. They provide security by keeping out threats such as hackers and malware that could cause harm to your own network. Not having a firewall in place is putting your system and network in a vulnerable place to unauthorized users. The firewall monitors the data leaving and entering your computer and decides whether to let it pass. Also, the firewall will reject the data if it is not good. Lastly, you can use different configurations of firewalls depending on your needs. More than one kind of firewall can be put into various places in the computer network. This allows you to have more options to set up your network so that it works best for you. We need to know how firewalls work. Firewalls will filter the network traffic, which can either be good or bad, or trusted and untrusted. It's basically a giant filter that will catch anything that's not supposed to go through. Firewalls are supposed to secure private networks and endpoint devices like computers and file servers and network hosts. All the hosts of these devices talk to one another and communicate through the network. The rules and however you might set them up are the key to how your firewall network is going to function. These rules could be through an invitation to a party. You could either give everyone your invitation, nobody an invitation, or your most trusted friends. Before I talk about the various kinds of firewalls, I am briefly going to review the OSI model, the Open Systems Interconnect. The OSI model is important because different firewalls operate at different levels of this model. There are 7 layers to this model. A brief description of each of them are the physical layer, the bottom layer which includes everything from the cable type, the radio frequency link, and Wi-Fi network, as well as the layout of pins, voltage, and other physical requirements. The data link layer. This layer is responsible for transmitting data to computers on the same LAN. The network layer. This layer is responsible for packet forwarding, including routing through different routers. Then there's the transport layer. The transport layer deals with coordination of the data transfer between the end systems and the host over the network. The session layer. When two computers or another network devices need to speak to one another, the session needs to be created. Then the presentation layer. This is how information is presented. It could be encrypted or decrypted. It is basically how data is converted from one type to another. Then lastly, the application layer. It receives information directly from the users and displays incoming data to the user. It's basically just how the user interacts with programs. There is more than one different type of firewall. Each one works differently. Technology has always evolved, for example, iPhones, and how they are different from one another year to year. This same idea applies to firewalls as well. They are meant to be improved upon from their predecessors, but each firewall operates on a different layer of the OSI, which is the Open Systems Interconnection model, which we just went over briefly. The first firewall I want to talk about is static filtering firewall. This firewall operates on layer 3, which is the network layer. This is the basic packet filtering and checks individual packets when they are being sent across the network. How this firewall works is based on IP address ports and packet protocol. They are the most basic of the firewalls because they prevent two networks from connecting without permission. This firewall also uses an access control list that was manually or made by hand. This is good for small networks because since it's small, it would be easier to change manually. Next is the circuit level gateway firewall. This operates on layer 5, which is the session level. This firewall checks for functional packets. If the function is successful, it will permit and connect to the two networks. After the two networks are connected, the firewall stops watching them. This is a higher risk firewall because someone could access it while the firewall is not watching and then do anything they want to it without any interruptions. Next is the stateful inspection firewall. This firewall operates on layer 4, but can also operate on layer 7. This firewall monitors the current connections and remembers what has been connected in the past. It's also similar to the static packet firewall because it blocks traffic based on things like IP address and ports. This firewall uses a state table to update the rules of the firewall so that if it finds some IP address or port that's causing problems, the table will update and fix the issue automatically. The easy use of this firewall makes it very popular because of the automatic update rule. Next is the proxy firewall, which operates on layer 7. This acts as a physical barrier because it puts a guard in between two network barriers, and the guard has to relay information to each network. The networks never really talk to one another individually. This firewall filters data based on application level data. So it's not just looking to see if it's a good IP address being sent between the two computers. The plus side of this firewall is that it's very secure, but the downside is that it can slow down non-threatening data. Next is a next generation firewall. This just looks for very specific things that are coming into the network, like malware, and are mostly used by businesses to be secured. Hybrid firewall. This is a mix of two firewalls together that are doing their own separate thing. One could be working on a proxy server and the other filtering packets. Now I'm going to be showing you how you can configure your firewall on a Windows machine and the steps to get there. I'm going to be using Windows 11 in this demonstration, the firewall Windows Defender that is being used on this system currently. And the system is using a stateful inspection firewall. The first step is to go to the Start and open the Control Panel, or type in the search bar, Control Panel. The bottom arrow shows the search bar. Second is to click on System and Security, and then the top arrow shows where this is located. Then you want to click on Windows Defender Firewall, where the arrow is located. This is the basic landing page to change your firewall around. Fourth, select Turn on Windows Firewall for domain, private, and public network settings. It'll be circled in red. This page lets you choose whether you want to use a Windows firewall or not. These settings will come as on your computer as default. You can also choose to have Windows notify you when Windows Defender Firewall blocks something. Another option you can pick is you can have it block all incoming connections. But by blocking all applications and incoming connections, it may cause problems if some of the applications you use need the internet. This will make your computer more secure, but you may not be able to do some things of the tasks you need. Now we can go back to the landing page where we were previously, and then the fifth step is to click on Allow an app or feature through the Windows Defender Firewall. By scrolling through the dialog box, you will be able to see what is being allowed through the firewall. As you can see on my screen that Google Chrome, the search engine, is allowed through. If you click off the box, then Google Chrome wouldn't get any internet. It's good to review these settings from time to time, because it's important to know what is being allowed through your firewall. Now we can go back to the landing page once again for our sixth step. Click the Advanced Settings. This page allows you to customize your firewall settings. You can set the inbound and outbound rules that can block incoming and outgoing traffic, and gives you options for making a rule for your firewall. In the seventh step, you can either click inbound or outbound to make a rule. For this example, I'll click inbound. For my eighth step, the inbound rule. In rule type, you will see a checklist of different types of rules you can make. First, you can select one of the four options for your rule. I selected program to allow or block it. There are also port to allow or block one. Predefined, which is a Windows firewall rule, or custom, which can block a combination of ports, IP addresses, and programs. And then hit next at the bottom. In program, you can browse the program that the rule concerns. In this case, for my example, I'm setting up a rule for Microsoft Edge. In action, you can decide what the rule does to either allow the connection if it is secure, or block the connection entirely. I selected to allow the connection for this example. In Profile, you can pick where or which type of Windows network the rule applies to. I just left them as the default for all. Lastly, in Name, you can call the rule whatever name you'd want and give it a detailed description for it. It's best to give a name that reflects what it does, so when you look back at it in a year or so, you know exactly what it was made for. This is useful if you need to make many new rules to fine-tune your firewall. And then click Finish, and then you should be able to see your new rule. This example is to show the basics of how firewalls can be configured in Windows, and also how to make rules, because rules are the building blocks of a firewall. In conclusion, firewalls are a super important security tool that helps protect your network by controlling what information is allowed in to your computer and what is released. There are different types of firewalls that can be used depending on your needs. For my demonstration, you can see that Windows has a lot of options for firewall customization. You can take advantage of this and are not just bound to the default settings, but can make your own firewall rules. You can control what information leaves your computer through the rules you make. These are my sources that I helped make this video. and I hope you found it very informative and helpful. Thank you for watching.